Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Brachah Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And, just going to go through a few headlines here that are pretty interesting. One we have dealing with the DHS shutdown, which now I posted a clip on my channel, a short of it, where they're now warning of airports, potentially having to be shut down, okay, due to this lack of staffing, okay, and agents not getting paid. All right, and you have this deadlock going on over there in Congress because of this situation here, right? So we'll come back to this, but something that I also wanted to mention here is this post, okay, by Trump on Truth Social, which is very interesting. The sentiment, okay, that he is expressing in this post here, which is, this well, I'll read it. I'll read it in a second here, but this is once again on top of the Iran tensions, right? The war with Iran, which he called for, NATO allies and other allies to join in. They said no, flat out, right? We're not doing that. It's not our war. We didn't start it. We're not interested in partaking in it. And this is his response, right? He's visibly upset about that. But now you can see more clearly why and how Revelation 17, comes about, right? Why it says that the beast is gonna hate the whore, okay, which the whore represents America. But let's read this in here, and the way he's talking, he's almost speaking as though, like as he blatantly says, like the U.S. doesn't need NATO, okay. So I wouldn't be surprised, if at some point, he just comes out and he's just like, look, you know what, the U.S. is just, that's it, they're done. They don't want any dealings with NATO. That's it, end of story. He could, right? Because you got a guy like him in there, which, would be interesting because, I mean, if he was to do that, right, this is just very hypothetical throwing it out there, but if he was to withdraw the U.S. out of NATO, it would definitely be a scenario of, imagine being in a war with all these countries in there, and you have the U.S. is not not a part of NATO. Like, I mean, you can clearly see how much easier that would be for them to shoot missiles on you because you're not even in an alliance with them. But anyway, it says here, Trump on Truth Social. Fortunately, we have decimated Iran's military. Their navy is not. What's interesting is, so why are you so upset then about the other allies refusing to come in there? All right. But it's all because of prophecy. All right. Proverbs 21:1 tells you that the king's thoughts, their mind is in the control, is in the hand of the Lord. So he's stirring up tensions, all leading up to fulfill biblical prophecy. So he says here, fortunately, we have decimated Iran's military. Their navy is gone. Their air force is gone. Their anti-aircraft and radar is gone. And perhaps most importantly, their leaders are at virtually every level are gone, never to threaten us, our Middle Eastern allies, or the world again. Now, hold on. That means there should be no more reports about bombs, rockets, missiles, drones leaving Iran, attacking anybody, right? There shouldn't be any reports from any Gulf states that are being hit. There shouldn't be any reports of Israel being hit. In fact, the Strait of Hormuz should be opened immediately if this is really the case. But we know that this is not. This is just to manipulate the markets. Because of the fact that we have had such military success, we no longer, quote unquote, need or desire the NATO countries' assistance. We never did. When you are in an alliance and you're speaking like this about your so-called allies, what do you think that's putting into their mind? You're telling them, hey, I went and started a war and I wanted you to come and join in. You refused to put your nation at risk because of what I did, which I didn't have to do. And now I'm upset at you. So you know what? I'm okay cutting ties with you. Like, the U.S. doesn't need you. This is isolating yourself. Okay. So he says here, likewise, Japan, Australia, and South Korea. In fact, speaking, and the scriptures say his look was more stout than his fellows. You can see the arrogancy and the pride. Speaking as president of the United States of America, by far the most powerful country anywhere in the world, all caps, we do not need the help of anyone. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So this guy was definitely the perfect one to put in office, especially in this time of prophecy. Okay, to get the pot really stirring. All right, and hey, it literally, things can pick up very 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 quickly. Okay, very 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 quickly. All right. Now this, I saw in here, and at this point in the game, as you've seen propaganda from all sides, take this with a grain of salt. Okay, when you hear news about this, these officials came out and said this person came out and said this, take it with a grain of salt, because at this point you have sources that'll come out and tell you, oh, these Iran has negotiated if you hear something like that, you gotta think not just twice about it. You might just throw it out your mind, because if they come out, oh, Iran is negotiated they've negotiated concerning the Strait of Hormuz. What was the negotiation? And what you have is this guy from the Trump admin. I forgot his first name, but I think his last name is Besant or Besant, whatever his name is. And that's his job. His job is just to throw out lies. Okay. Once again, it's a manipulation tactic. Anyway, it says here, just in, senior Israeli officials tell U.S. diplomats that Iranian protesters will get slaughtered if they take to the streets to topple Iran's government, despite Israel publicly calling for a popular uprising. So now, if this is on the assumption that this is factual and this is correct, in the sense that this is a legitimate statement by these senior Israeli officials, this goes to show you just how messed up. And that's what the Lord is doing. While all this is happening, he's also revealing. This is Isaiah, the 47th chapter. He's lifting up the skirt, okay, of this woman, making bare the leg. That means he is exposing America. He is exposing Babylon for the true nature of them. People's true nature shows often through conflict. All right, through times when you can't afford to try and put on a facade. And that's what you're seeing on a world scale. The whole world is seeing it. Okay. So now let's backtrack a bit to this DHS shutdown here, which this is interesting because at the same time, so you have the Department of Homeland Security, which is shut down. And just, I believe it was today or so, you have your Trump appointed counter-terrorism director, Joe Kent, resigns in protest over U.S. war with Iran. So your Department of Homeland Security is down. Your airports, are barely functioning because, once again, DHS is down right now amid what they call heightened tension, heightened a time when T attacks or dangerous events can take place. That's not a really good combo, is it? So his reasoning here, right, says in a massive break from President Trump and MAGA, Joe Kent, director of National Counterterrorism Center, or NCTC, announced his immediate resignation on Tuesday, citing irreconcilable opposition to the ongoing U.S. military operations against Iran, which is interesting, right? It's very interesting whether that's really the case. Maybe he found out something about what they're really trying to do. Maybe they told him, look, we're about to set up something and, you basically don't do your job. If you want to keep your job, don't do your job. All right, do not counter anything on there. You let it happen. Whatever the case is, long story short, it's just an interesting series of events that are taking place at the right time. How convenient, okay? Because now you have a lot of room to wiggle and play the blame game. Oh, the Democrats kept it shut down, and now look at this that has happened on the soils of America, and you can't really respond adequately to it because Your Department of Homeland Security is shut down, and so on and so forth. Okay. He says here, Kent declared he could not, in good conscience, support the ongoing war in Iran, stating unequivocally that Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and that the conflict was initiated due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. One thing I want to mention here is the genie's out the box, as the saying goes. You can't put it back in. And I'm saying that because for the longest period of time, the power, a good portion of influence and power was through deception. For a long period of time, anybody who spoke against, he spoke negatively or even truth against Israel, or the try to shine light on the true corruption of these higher ups, you were labeled a conspiracy theorist. You were just, said, put to the side somewhere, so on and so forth. Now that's all out the window. Everybody sees it now. The whole world sees it now. So these elites behind the scenes who have triggered this, they know they have to go all in with it, because they cannot put this back to how it was before. It will not work. People are not going to be willing to, especially on a geopolitical level, to go back to how things were before. No. Okay. So they're going all the way with it, and they're pulling different strings at the right time to lead about a poly crisis. Okay, a poly crisis that is going to bring in a change of the world, a new order of the ages. And that involves a great financial and economic collapse. It says here, the move comes weeks into active strikes targeting Iranian nuclear sites, leadership, and infrastructure. So the next one here, DHS shutdown hits 30-day mark as TSA agents miss first full paycheck. You're not even getting paid. It's not like TSA agents are getting paid, the most out there anyway. And now they're not getting paid at all, and they have to do this job. Even when they were getting paid, a lot of them didn't look really happy with their jobs. They seemed pretty upset and angry, actually. And now they're not getting paid. Bruh, with the economy as it is, come on. So it says here, as the partial government shutdown stretches into its fourth week, major airline executives are pressing Congress to resolve the stalemate, warning that the impasse is already disrupting air travel and straining the nation's airport security system. Okay, and they've mentioned that if it keeps on going, they might need to shut down certain airports because they just cannot sustain it. They cannot afford to keep it open. Who is going to be working there? Right? Jumping down a bit, right now people are facing frustration with long lines, and just everything is just delayed. You're missing flights. All right. Let's go down a bit. Right. It says here, these are men and women who don't make a lot of money. Some of them are making choices whether they're driving Uber or waiting tables. They have to put food on their family's table. See, it's getting to crunch time. It's getting painful, all right, and frustration is setting in very, very quickly. See, so people are they're not having it. And now this conflict, I'm just going to sum up the last parts here, is that you have the Democrats that are saying, hey, we'll partially fund the DHS, right? TSA, Coast Guard, cybersecurity, and so on. But ICE and other parts of it, no. The Republicans are saying, nah, you can't fund only certain parts and then leave out other parts. You got to fund the whole thing. And they're like, okay, well, I guess nothing is getting funded then. So these sections of the DHS they mentioned, TSA, you're seeing how that's affecting, things today. The Coast Guard and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. So this means that those parts of the DHS are not being funded. They're also shut down. You have threats of what you're claiming to be at some point an Iranian drone attack. You're saying that they have the ability, along with China, to affect, hack into, and disrupt your critical infrastructure. And then on top of that, you have on the physical level actual, false events that they can do. This is all the narrative that's being painted. And yet on every avenue that you have to stop them, you're saying that we can't do that right now because there's a shutdown. So yeah, man, you just it's this is what's going on, right? And so we are quite literally on the verge of something drastic, and it only takes one day. It's just literally, it only takes one, like there's a specific point in time, one event at a certain second, certain hour, certain day, and everything changes quickly, just like that. I want to finish it off here with Proverbs 21:1. Right, going back to the situation with Trump and really everything that we're seeing transpire here. It says here, the king's heart, which is their mind, their thoughts, is in the hand or the control of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. Okay, so all these things we're seeing going on, from them deceiving Iran to bombing them, from the 3 to 4 weeks, which is now, an indefinite 3 to 4 weeks, and multiple reports here and there and so on. We're in the midst of something greater and more dangerous than people even see, because they've been conditioned. Not, don't panic if your media is not panicking. No, you got to look at reality. A lot of people have been dumbed down to the point where they don't understand reality. So when something is dangerous, they don't know it's dangerous because they don't understand the significance of it. And right now, yes, we are in a danger zone, but people don't understand the significance of the gravity of the situation as it is now. That's why there's still some sense of, go to work, go to school, do your day-to-days. That's all going to change. Okay? That is all going to change very soon. But anyway, I'm going to end it there. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.